At the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, the search for speed has begun in earnest today. 29 car and driver combinations have been on the track. 24 of those clocking laps over 220 miles per hour, and 21 have already exceeded last year's pole speed of Buddy Rice. Speeds are escalating as the clock ticks toward pole day here at Indy.
This is SportsCenter.
Back home again in Indiana.
Well, they call it happy hour. This is happy half hour, the final 30 minutes of practice. This one doesn't revolve around ice cubes. It revolves around race cars, and that is Sebastian Bourdais, the reigning Champ Car Series champion, here to become a rookie and run his very first Indianapolis 500. Our Sports Center at the Indy 500 welcomes you back to coverage from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway as we lead up to the 89th running of the Indianapolis 500. I'm Jerry Punch, joined by an 11-time Indy 500 veteran, Scott Goodyear. And Scott, no doubt the early story here during 2005 has been the strength and domination of Team Andretti-Green. At least today that holds true because Dan Wheldon at the top of the speed charts. Now, is he making a statement here on day one that he is the guy to beat?
You know, he wants that momentum that he got from the last race at Motegi, Doc, and I think the key thing for him right now is that he waited until the conditions were right, went out on the racetrack, third time by, he was flat, fourth time, 224 miles an hour in the T car. Well, shortly after that, just a while ago, he actually followed up with almost 227 miles an hour in his primary car, and I think right now he's just playing mind games out there with the rest of the drivers.
Getting faster and faster as he goes out. The Honda on top of the pole here, on top of the pylon, I should say, in terms of speeds. And why don't we find out what they're thinking on pit road as we check in down in his pits with Marlo Klain.
Well, I'm standing here with Dan Wheldon. Dan, when you jumped out of the car, you said people make too much out of the speeds on the first day. What's your take on 226.8?
Well, I think obviously it's the first day at Indianapolis, and you know, it's always good to go pretty quick, which we seem to have done here at Andretti-Green Racing. And you know, it's definitely a lot of us who are getting toes on each particular laps, but you know, we're focused on qualifying and we're leading into that. It seems like there's a shorter period of time this year leading into qualifying, so I wouldn't read too much into it, but it's good to start off very well at Indianapolis.
Well, if you ran a 226.8 today on the first day that the veterans are on the track, where do you see speeds tomorrow and Thursday and Friday going into pole day?
I mean, obviously because of the short time leading into qualifying, I think people are going to go quicker sooner, so you're not going to see the big speed increases. I'm not exactly sure where I'll be because I was in a bit of a draft when I did that lap, but I think that's certainly going to be a fair bit quicker than last year.
Dan, you told me earlier today, you know what, if this year, if you're to win the Indianapolis 500, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. Is that kind of PR babble, or do you really believe that?
No, I honestly think so. We're in a very good situation. We've got a good car, I think. We've had a good car all year, so there's no reason to expect that we're not going to have a good car in the race. Honda are going to give us good engines, and you know, I think if we just do everything right and we go through our set program and work out what we need to do for the race, I think then if it is meant to be, it is meant to be. I mean, you can never force the Indianapolis 500, but I'd love to win it. I really would.
All right, good luck. Wheldon certainly has momentum on his side. He's won 3 out of 4 races so far this year.
Thank you very much, Marlo. Dan Wheldon is showing a lot of confidence and just courage to be out there, feeling awfully good about his chances here. You know, she mentioned he'd won 3 of 4 events thus far this year. He's led 271 laps in process. What makes him stand out above others in terms of what he has done so far this year?
Well, just being a smart race driver, Doc. Just simply right there as we're seeing at St. Pete, you know, sitting back in third and taking the opportunity to wait for the other guys to make a mistake. Here we're watching Motegi, where he wasn't the fastest car, but highlighted there in third spot with only a few laps left to go. The other guys are running out of fuel. He became a driver with patience because he listened to the pits, and they told him to run a fuel mileage race. So we watched Thomas Scheckter, who led so much of that race, jump out of the car, and you turn around, Danny Wheldon then celebrates.
And run out of gas trying to get back to victory lane. There's taking a look at his numbers on the year. 3 wins, 4 top 10s. There's a laps led we talked about. Earnings over $412,000, but the big paycheck over $1 million would come at the end of the month. He can win the big one here at the Indy 500. Speaking of the Indy 500, let's hear what several veterans had to say about practice here on day 1.
I'm always of the belief at this track that if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. I mean, you've got enough time to sort out everything. You know, we have a strong motor. We've been quick before. We're either going to be good or we're not, and I think hopefully we will be. But exactly how good we'll be in terms of speed, I don't think you can tell just yet.
Even if we don't change the cars, minor details, aerodynamic and the engine-wise, has been, you know, making progress. So that's why obviously the track's helping, but the cars are quicker.
I think just the development, you know, the cars and engines keep developing, and you know, they get faster as the year goes on. We keep finding little bits of horsepower, and remember this, a year ago, this was the very first time this 3-liter engine ever raced. So, you know, I think a year's worth of development, and you know, it's going to be faster.
There's a lot of grip on the racetrack, and I think once enough rubber gets down, the tire wear is going to be fine. It always is like that on a new track. So I think that combined with some of the changes the IRL's made, you're going to see the most competitive race we've ever had here.
Oh, indeed, Scott. I mean, the speeds are the big story here. I know that the engine and chassis combinations have gotten better, as the drivers mentioned from a year ago, but a lot of the speed improvements has to do with the racetrack. Why is this place suddenly so quick?
Well, it's a lot faster now because the surface is different from just a year ago. You know, the track got bumpy in turns 1 and 3 about the last couple of years, and we started to have a lot of accidents in turn 1. And the key thing that we saw as we watch here in turn 1 in qualifying, the car goes around and pegs the wall, and it's because on cold tires and light downforce, the track doesn't have much grip. A lot of these guys were putting the cars into the wall, into that safer barrier. So what they turned around and did is they resurfaced the race course over this last fall time, but it wasn't exactly what they wanted when it came to testing here in the spring. As you can see, there's the resurfacing going on last fall. Well, the guys came out here to test in the spring, Doc, and what ended up happening was the track was very inconsistent. The track would have grip in the turns, and then it would turn around and actually make the cars slide. They actually stopped testing after about 1 day for a scheduled 3-day test, and what the Indianapolis Motor Speedway did is they came back, ground the racetrack down with a process they call diamond grinding. The guys love it right now. A very fast racetrack, having a lot of grip, and I think there's going to be a great competitive race because there's a lot of confidence in drivers right now to drive that car hard into the turn.
Well, you saw that confidence from Dan Wheldon a moment ago talking to Marlo Klain in the pits. You know, speaking of confidence, when you're a part of the Penske organization, you've got a lot of confidence. And Helio Castroneves currently sits 7th on the speed charts today, and although he and Team Penske are no stranger to the front row, it seems a little unusual that they would show their hand this early here in the first week of practice.
Well, you know, it's a short week, and you got to get ready for qualifying on Saturday. Now, here's a guy that loves to qualify fast out of that team right now. Helio was on the pole 5 times in races last year, and obviously has been very quick here. He's won here twice, won in his rookie year, and the key thing for him is he loves to go fast. He wants to climb that fence one more time. His teammate, Sam Hornish Jr., though, maybe not necessarily the qualifier that Helio is, but he certainly races better than he qualifies. He's only had a few poles in his entire career, has laps led, races won, all those records that he has. But you know something, Doc? He's a very crafty race driver. Reminds me a lot of probably a guy like Rick Mears.
Sam Hornish right now 17th on the speed charts, being very, very careful. We told you yesterday this place has bitten him a number of times. He has never had a top 10 finish here at Indianapolis. Now, we also mentioned Dan Wheldon's fastest lap of the day earlier, and as Marlo spoke with him, but among his Andretti-Green teammates that could also contend for the pole, how about the Scotsman, Dario Franchitti? Dario has been the fastest car in 3 of the first 4 events this year, but a series of misfortunes and a little impatience has kept him out of victory lane. It would seem like, Scott, he has the most of all to prove here this week.
I think he really does. You know, he's a very smart race driver, very fit, very focused, and he came back from having a broken back just the other year and went out and started winning races. I didn't think he would be that competitive on an oval because he was known as a road course driver. But you know something? He was the only Andretti-Dream driver last year outside the top 10. So I look for him to try and make a statement here at Indianapolis this year.
When I talked to Franchitti earlier, he talked about this was the race he was pointing toward. Now, Tony Kanaan, the champion, been unusually quiet here for much of 2005. No poles, no wins, and only 14 laps led. Some believe he is focusing all of his energies on this month of May. What do you think?
Well, I think he wants to win Indianapolis because he's won the championship. But I have to honestly say, say that, you know, Tony's so competitive, he still wants to win races, and maybe it's not been the track performance this year that's actually kept him back. Maybe it's been the pit performance, simply from the fact that they've not had clean pit stops, which the Andretti-Green team has been known for. So they're going to have to clean up their pit work here, especially when you have 8 or 10 pit stops over this 500-mile race, if they're going to be a contender on race day.
Well, let's move to the Rahal-Letterman crew, the team that won this race a year ago. All 3 drivers among the top 15 in speed today. Vitor Mira, the quickest among that group. Scott, he posted the fastest lap of the race a year ago, and it seems like he would be among the favorites if we were to discuss possible first-time winners in this year's Indy 500.
Oh, he's been so close so many times, but you know, bad luck has actually got him pit problems, running out of gas, and he's finished second to Buddy Rice a couple of times. I like this guy. He's smart, he's quiet, he's always there, sitting back, just always in the top 5, ready to take advantage of what's going on in front of him, and he's actually the fastest Rahal-Letterman driver so far today, so I think good things are ahead for him.
And speaking of last year's winner, there's a look at Buddy Rice. He seems to be gathering some momentum after that impressive third-place finish at Motegi. He isn't known, though, for showing his hand too early. Do you think he could be sitting on a little more speed than he's shown us thus far here on day 1?
Absolutely. You think back to last year, you know, he was there all month, very quick, but, you know, he didn't show his hand until qualifying morning, and everybody expected him to be in the top couple of rows, but then lo and behold, he showed this speed in qualifying, and everybody turned around and went, wow, where did that come from? Well, it came from deep inside because Buddy Rice wanted to win this race.
Well, we'll have more on Rahal-Letterman when we come back. Well, she was the fastest of the rookies during orientation yesterday. Did the speed continue today for Danica Patrick as the veterans joined her on the racetrack? Scott Sharp still out practicing on the racetrack. More from Indianapolis in the final 30 minutes of practice here as SportsCenter continues from the Brickyard.
SportsCenter at the Indianapolis 500 is brought to you by the entirely new GS, the next phenomenon from Lexus.
And back at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, 23-year-old Australian rookie Bryan Briscoe. Boy, has he been impressive today. Yesterday in rookie orientation, he was second quickest to Danica Patrick. He reverses that today. Briscoe on top of the rookie speed chart at 225.266. He is actually 5th quickest overall, but the fastest among the rookie drivers. And Scott, a pretty impressive effort for him. And you know, we thought Danica Patrick would be good, but no one expected Briscoe to be this good.
Well, you know, I think the key thing also with Doc is certainly was a lot of surprise for us because he's Toyota powered. He's the top Toyota car so far. Everybody expected Honda to dominate this week's practice times, which they are certainly up there, as Chevy's not even in the top 10 right now. But Toyota come out with a rookie. Well, you know, there's a lot of pressure in that Target Chip Ganassi team, but, you know, Bryan Briscoe seems to be taking it right now.
And speaking of pressure, how about being under the microscope? Danica Patrick, after that great run at Motegi, the front row start, the lap she led, the top 5 finish, I mean, and coming out what she did the first 2 days of rookie orientation, she certainly had a lot to think about.
She has, you know, and I spoke to her today in length, actually, and just asked her about what she thought of the racetrack, what she thought about Indianapolis, and you can really sense that there's a little bit of pressure brewing on her right now because I said, you know, what's your thought on qualifying? Are you going to do it in day 1 or are you going to try and get some more practice time? And she said, you know something, I just want to get qualified on day 1 and get that over with. So, you know, yeah, rookies feel the pressure here just like the veterans do. No matter how many times you come here, you want to get the car in the show and qualified for the Indianapolis 500.
Well, let's hear from the rookie as she's standing by with our Marlo Klain. Marlo?
Well, Jerry, Danica Patrick just said to me, God, they're going really fast down here. I feel more comfortable being in the car going this fast than watching them. Danica, you said yesterday that you just wouldn't feel comfortable with the veterans on the track. Do you feel comfortable? You ran 2 miles an hour faster than yesterday.
Yeah, I feel comfortable. I feel like, you know, we can really trim the car out and it'll still be stuck. I'm definitely confident of that. I just hope we can free it up initially, you know, mechanically to be as fast as everyone else.
Have you guys done any 4-lap simulations like you'll do on pole day?
Yesterday it was basically like an open test. Nobody was out there barely at all, and we did a few for sure, and it's fine. I mean, it almost slows down at the end.
What would you feel comfortable with on pole day as far as the speed goes?
That's hard to tell. I don't know what the speed's going to be, but all I can do is hope and pray that I'm in that top 11 and I can be relieved for a few days.
Danica, you guys are not running right now. This is kind of the time of day, the happy hour, where it's kind of a top this kind of day as far as speeds go. Are you guys going to run anytime during the week at this time of day?
I don't think that it says anything anything more to go out there at the end of the day and be P1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or whatever. It's, you know, if that's what you need to do, then you need to do it. But we're never running at 5 o'clock at night. And, you know, if you're out there running by yourself, then you can at least get some simulation for what it's going to be like. But, you know, if you're running out there for a lap time or a tow, it's kind of fake. All right, thanks a lot, Danica.
Thank you very much, Marlo. Danica certainly getting it done here early on in the month of May. You know, another rookie, the Champ Car defending champion, Sebastian Bourdais, struggled in rookie orientation yesterday, but today appears to be finding himself. Scott, he has posted laps at over 221 miles per hour.
You know, when I spoke with him this morning, you can see there's a, no, I don't want to call it hesitation, but, you know, there's a respect for this racetrack. He says this is a very fast racetrack, and I just want to creep up onto it to sort of get a feel for what this racetrack's all about. And he stressed to me also, you know, I have to get this done in this week because we actually have to practice, get qualified, get our race testing done all this week, and then we leave to go off to the Champ Car race in Monterrey, Mexico. The next time I come back to race at this race course will be on carb day, so he's going to miss half the testing time at this race course compared to everybody else. Plus, he's a rookie. You know, that's a lot of pressure going on, but, you know, there's a lot of talent inside that helmet when he jumps inside that car, and he is going to be a contender on race day.
But he's somehow got to be able to concentrate through all that travel and 2 different kinds of racing series. I mean, a lot going on in his head. You know, series champion Tony Kanaan is all about business in the car, but away from the track, he loves to have a little fun. Tony's take when we come back.
On the next TK stake, I'm going to show you how athletic I am.
Tony Kanaan, the reigning series champion, the 711 Andretti-Green machine, coming up to speed. We'll tell you where Tony took us last night for a special view at Tony's Take in just a moment. And SportsCenter live at Indianapolis Motor Speedway continues. That's Bryan Herta on the racetrack in the XM Satellite machine. 2-time pole winner this year. He finished 4th here in the Indianapolis 500 a year ago. Here are the top speeds of the day thus far. His teammate Danny Wheldon at the top of the charts, almost 227 for Wheldon. Scott Sharp, who finished 2nd at Motegi, 2nd here on the speed charts. Tony Kanaan, the reigning champion. And last year's Rookie of the Year, Kosuke Matsuura is 4th. And another rookie this year, boy, the impressive Ryan Briscoe in the Toyota for Target Ganassi, 5th overall at 225.266. Well, rev up your engine Saturday afternoon as qualifying for the running of the Indianapolis 500 begins. You can see which cars and drivers run well and speed their way toward the pole. The Indy 500 time trial Saturday on ESPN at 1 Eastern time, ABC at 4 Eastern time, and back on ESPN2 to complete today on our Disney family of channels at 6 Eastern. That's Indy 500 time trials coming up on Saturday. Reigning series champion Tony Kanaan sits 3rd on the speed charts today. It seems poised to hit a home run here in the month of May. Speaking of home runs, last night he visited the ballpark with the Indianapolis Indians.
Definitely my first time on a baseball field. As a Brazilian, I have no clue how to throw a pitch. I'm gonna go for the waterfront. We're gonna win, Daniel. We're gonna win. We're gonna kick their asses, Daniel. Oh, no!
How can they win?
I don't know. We're ahead of. I am gonna show you why Bryan is throwing the first pitch and why it's not me. All right? Jesus. What's the speed limit? 55, right? That's it. You know why, right? Now you know why. Ow! So we are gonna play some basketball, I guess. What a lucky guy. I would go for a hot dog. This is the end of the 2nd TK stake, and you know, enough with the fun. Let's go back to the race car because that's where the real work is. So everybody's saying goodbye to me if you can hear it. So the game is going to start and we're going to head back because got to go to bed to go to work tomorrow. I'll see you guys later. Stay tuned because a lot of things are coming up.
All right, thank you, TK, on TK's take. There's a look at Helio Castroneves, the Marlboro Team Penske efforts. 7th quickest today at 224.957. Today, the two-time Indy 500 champion celebrated his 30th birthday. He said this may be an omen. He's looking for a 3rd Indy 500 win in the same month he turns the big 3-0.
I don't feel different at all. Everybody's like, hey, I feel more experienced. I think that's good. It's actually Mears told me it's like wine. It's getting better with the age. So, hey, I guess I'm a nice Napa Valley one. I don't know.
And in the final minutes of practice here, there's Helio Castroneves again trying to get the car up to speed. This is the best time of the day to run. It's cooler. The engines breathe better. Shadows on the racetrack. Maximum grip. Back with the wrap-up of SportsCenter live from the Indianapolis 500 in just a moment.
SportsCenter at the Indianapolis 500 is brought to you by Singular, raising the bar, and Avis, we try harder.
And just a reminder, SportsCenter at the Indianapolis 500 will be here throughout the month of May, getting you ready for the big race. Join us Monday through Friday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN2. Wednesday, we'll be live for the final half hour of IndyCar practice. Now, recapping the opening day of full field practice, Dan Wheldon is the fastest on the track today, and there is his teammate Dario Franchitti on the racetrack. In the ARCA X machine, you see the speeds on the left side of your screen. Wheldon, Sharp, Kanaan, Matsuura, and Briscoe in the top 5 as guys trying to escalate their speeds. And Scott, you made the call yesterday, 225, 226 today, and you were exactly right.
Actually makes me look a little bit like a genius. You questioned me yesterday, but the interesting thing I see out of that top 5 right now is Fernandez Racing has 2 cars up there in the top 5. Very impressive for Adrian Fernandez Racing.
And moments ago, Helio Castroneves now up to 3rd quickest. Helio Castroneves at 226 and change. And there is Tony Kanaan trying to put in a blistering lap here in the final minutes of this practice session here on the opening day at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Let's check in on the pits for final thoughts from Marlo Klain. Marlo?
Well, I think my final thoughts have to start with Dan Wheldon. The guy has only won 2 poles in 36 IndyCar races. And as far as he goes here, I think he's the guy on the pole day. He certainly has momentum on his side, winning 3 out of 4 races so far this year. But one interesting note as far as the big picture goes, after they leave the Indianapolis Bay, it's the IndyCar Championship. He has such a lead on his teammates. Even if he finishes last in this race, he will still leave here with the lead, Scott.
You know, the whole thing for me, though, I think this whole month's going to come down to the manufacturers. Toyota, Honda, and Chevrolet all want the bragging rights. They want the pride of being on the pole for the Indianapolis 500, Doc. And I got to tell you right now, I'm going to watch for Fast Friday to see how fast the cars will go just before pole day.
Well, we're going to see how fast Tony Kanaan can go right now, because Tony Kanaan out on the racetrack in the final minute of the opening day of practice. First full day that all the veterans can be on the racetrack. Dan Wheldon, who is Kanaan's teammate, is at the top of the speed charts. Wheldon at 226.808, almost 227. Kanaan right now 4th quickest, trying to get the speed over 226 here in the last 45 seconds of practice. So Kanaan trying to get up to speed. He finished 2nd here a year ago. He's the reigning champion, and he desperately wants to win the 89th running of the Indianapolis 500. And Scott Goodyear, I got to believe Tony Kanaan has been waiting for a year to come back to Indy. This is the one he wants and can taste it.
You know, sitting second, I've done it many times, Doc. You know, you'd rather be second about a half a track behind instead of being second maybe just within spitting distance of the driver in front of you, which he was, obviously, last year with Buddy Rice. So without a doubt, he can taste it for this weekend.
Well, that'll do it for the opening day of practice from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Dan Wheldon quickest at the top of the chart. Scott Sharp live on ESPN News at 7:15 p.m. Back with you tomorrow from Indianapolis at 6:30. So long.